All right, so I guess from a young age, I always felt this need to be good enough and to be better than I was, and that how I wasn't good enough, and so I needed to just try harder. Although I know perfection is not possible, in the back of my mind I thought that if I just tried hard enough that I would get close. And I realized pretty quickly that the only person who was ever putting pressure on me was me. It worked for me for a while, in my favor, because I grew up and I always had really great grades and I never got in trouble and I had friends. But then it kind of starts to wear on you, because I just started believing all these lies that weren't true. A failure for me wasn't just, oh, try harder next time. It was like, it was bad. I thought that I needed to do everything right for people to love me, even though there was no evidence of that. It went into other areas of my life. I wasn't pretty enough, and because I wasn't pretty enough, I wasn't skinny enough either, and so I needed to do better at that. And I liked to sing, but I wasn't as good as her, so I needed to sing better, and I just, I danced, but I wasn't the best. It came time for applications to the National Honor Society. And I applied the first time and I didn't get in. And so for some of you, you hear that and you're like, well, no big deal, right? But for me, that was not good enough. I should have been good enough to get in. And I found my teacher and I asked her, why didn't I get in? And she said, pretty point blank, you do too much stuff at church and you need to do more everywhere else. So I joined Spanish Honor Society. I didn't care about that. I just did it because I felt like that's something I needed to do in order to get into this other club and in order to get into college. Next time I applied, the thing came around to apply again, and I got in this time because I was well-rounded. I realized that I was doing all of these things when I could just focus in on the places that God had gifted me, and that I could focus in on those places and become really good at those things and bring glory to His kingdom. And who cares if so-and-so isn't impressed by me? I think I've just come to this realization that God loves me, and He wants me to do the things that He's called me to do, the plans and the areas that He's prepared for me to serve in. And that's what really counts for Him.
So to be well-rounded, that was always a really big thing for me in high school. Specifically, I was the one that was always putting the most pressure on myself. I played 4 sports, I was on the honor roll, I was active in my youth group, and I was trying to just be the best at all these things, and that just led to even more pressure and more just discontentment on my part. And it wasn't until probably college that I realized that all these things, it wasn't me really doing anything. It was just me trying to spread myself thin. And maybe there was something bigger that God had created me to do. Maybe He wanted me to focus on something. And so I realized that He had given me the passion and the gifts for ministry, and this was where He wanted me to excel at. And if you really think about it, if everyone was well-rounded, then there wouldn't be any excellence in the world. There would be no doctors doing brain surgery or astronauts going to space. Everyone would just kind of be good at things. And so I think God has given us specific gifts and talents to use those to honor Him with those and to make your mark in the world.